Right, so first of all, let's do a manoeuvre and then talk about some problems that some people have suggested that they get. So first of all, not a problem with this window. Let's clean this window and go for this figure 8 type manoeuvre and close out on the bottom. Great, fine, no lines, no smudges, no smears, no snags. So if I've got 100 windows to clean and this window will allow me to work like that, then I'll do that technique. But in an ideal world, it's very seldom that I'm always going to get nice windows to work on. So if I'm going for this manoeuvre, which is a minimum move, I can work fine here, but then I'm going to get a problem up here. So I've got some snagging, got some issues, and I've got a little bit of detailing, smudging, smearing, and okay, so that works on that window like that, and I've got 150 windows exactly the same that I've got to clean. And every time I'm doing that technique, I'm getting that problem up there. So what do? Do I get annoyed with my tool, or do I change something so I don't have that problem? I don't want to fall out of my tool, so I need to become more versatile and adaptable, which I've often talked about. So it's not really a video on this tool per se, it's more about the person using the tool. So if that tool and technique doesn't work very well, I'm always getting problems, I need to change. I don't want to change my tool because this tool is the best tool to use. I need to change something that I'm doing. Great soap solution, problematic frame, window, glass, something is causing me a problem, so I need to change something. So let's change the way that I work and go for a more traditional manoeuvre, and let's go for, I'm still trying to get that minimum manoeuvre, but I'm doing it in less manoeuvres, more manoeuvres, so I'm actually doing it a few milliseconds longer. So that technique works. So technique A didn't work, so I revert to technique B. But what if technique B is still causing me problems, and I've still got 150 windows like this to clean on a building? I can't go up here because there's snagging and issues, so I need to go to technique C. Now technique C is probably most people's technique A, and I'm just going to start the window slightly differently and still close out on the bottom. And A, B, C, I've got 0 detail, 0 mistakes. But B and C was a little bit longer, especially C, because I made more manoeuvres. But technique C minimised my problems on a certain type of window to work on, like a more problematic window. So going back to a minimum move, I'll do another type of minimum move. I can just about, might not be able to get it with this squeegee. Let's have a look. So let's close out to the, no, it's not big enough. So I'm doing it in 2.5 maneuvers. So let's just stick with that. So if I'm really focusing on reducing the maneuvers that I'm doing, and overall it's going to make me get more work done in least time, it's only applicable, those sort of maneuvers, on windows that allow me to get that maneuver done. So if it's a problematic window, I want to either, first of all, I need to change my technique, but I might even have to change the size of my tool. If you look at my tool size, it's kind of relative to the size of the window. Now I'm talking about windows that are a bit wider than they are high. And as I said, I started with the figure 8 manoeuvre. So again, it's still like a minimum move. It's like very different to the regular minimum manoeuvres, but you know, I like that because I can start easy and I can finish easy. I don't have any problems finishing out. I don't ever want to close out to the side on these particular windows. It's just easier to start in the centre and close out in the around about the centre when it comes to closing out. But it's a kind of a high risk manoeuvre in terms of, if I'm reducing my manoeuvres, I need to focus here. If there's problems up here, then I need to ditch that technique. I'm not ditching the tool, and I'm not falling out with this tool. A lot of people fall out with this tool because they can't get the effects out of this tool because they're only working a particular way. Now, unfortunately, no other window cleaner on YouTube teaches you how to become more versatile and adaptable and have a few tricks up your sleeve. They just work like robots, and that is one of the problems why most YouTube window cleaners cannot use this tool. But it's not the main focus. of their problems. The main focus of their problems is this, and even that's not their main focus. Their main focus they should be concentrating on is their egos and their stubbornness. So hopefully that is just a video information that can help people stop fighting with their tool, because this is the tool that most people hate, but if you can learn how to use it, you will love it. So it's the most emotional tool in the business. Right, so moving on, let's talk about what could be causing lines. Okay, so let's do a slightly different maneuver, and we're going this arc sort of issue that people have. Now at the moment I'm not getting any arcs, and the reason why is because the rubber glides well. This window pane is nice to work on, it's not sticky. There's no debris on my rubber, there's no damage to my rubber, and my rubber is not out of place. So as you know, I pin my rubbers so it's nice and tight and it's in the right place. I'll talk about the rubber, what type of rubbers are best to use in this tool in a minute, but I'll try and get a problem with this tool against this frame, and I'll do something deliberate. Okay, so I'm now getting a line. Right, I'm getting a small line. What did I do? I pressed really hard against that frame there, and what I did was it made my rubber move just slightly like this. Okay, so because it moves slightly out, okay, because rubber bends and contorts, I'm going to bend that rubber now. Right, now I've got a line. Okay, hold on a second, let's do it a little bit more. Right, now I've got a line, constant line, constant, because the rubber's contorted. So some windows where people press too hard makes the rubber pull out a bit. So how do I fix that? So if I'm getting that line, all I've got to do is lift the squeegee off and then start again, and 9.5 times out of 10 that fixes that problem. So the rubber has been pulled out of line. Sometimes when I drop the tool, I don't focus on where the pin is, and sometimes the pin comes out of place, and the rubber is actually constantly contorted very minutely. I can't tell by my eye, but every time I use it there's a line. Very frustrating. Now if I didn't know what I was doing, I'm going to get really frustrated with this tool. So what I make sure is, okay, so them pins in the right place. If they're not, put pins in the right place, and then if it's still the problem, I'm going to push that rubber right back in to where it should be, right in there, like it did earlier today when I was at work. And let's try if it works. Oh great, no line. So this is the more frustrating problems this tool gives a lot of people, and they don't know how to fix it. Right, another problem that people don't know how to fix is, all depends on what rubber you're using. So first of all, you need a rubber that works well, glides well, and sometimes you buy rubber and the rubbers don't work that great, and that's just a misfortune that you've got. You've got to either buy some new ones or just put up with the problems until that rubber's gone. But there's 4 brands in the UK anyway that I say is a good brand to use in this tool. So it's the Mormon soft rubbers, all the hard. The NXT, I don't really want to be talking about that or using that, but the dimensions is okay to use. Etro rubber's dimensions good to use. Pulex rubber is a little bit longer and very good to use, and the facelift rubber is a good dimension to use. Now black diamond rubber and Unger rubber, not the green one, I think the green one's fine to use, but the black soft rubber is too short. Now if the rubber's too short, the black diamond rubber is too short, if it's too short it will look something like that, and you can't see the rubber because the rubber is tucked behind the end clip. And because that rubber is now unable to bend at all, it won't work when it comes to closing out. So if the rubber is too short and every time I close out, I've got a problem every time I close out because the rubber is just too short. The threshold will not bend, and problems. Not only that, now I made a video a couple of weeks ago about using standard handles. The reason why I really wanted to make that video is first of all, most people have standard handles, and I know from experience from the people that I see working in my areas, they're very tight-fisted with their money. And because they're so tight-fisted with the tools that that they've barely got any tools, right? So the way they work is awful, right? It's just really inefficient, ineffective, and they won't invest in themselves, and they won't invest in anything other than what they've got already, and they've had that for 10, 15, 20 years or more. So because they're so tight-fisted with their money, they are basically forfeiting any benefit of using any better tool to work with. So they're awful window cleaners, they're very inefficient, ineffective, and they ain't making much money at doing their job. And they're not really doing a great job unless they're really spending a lot of time with their cloth work, right? So more important than spending money, you've got to invest in yourself. You want to change, you want to become better, and that's basically what a lot of my videos are all about. So if you've got an existing handle and it's able to be bent, like these Mormon handles are, Etre handles can be bent very easily. Fortunately, the younger ones are quite hard to bend, if not impossible. So I want my squeegee channel to look like this. No, so most people won't go out and buy an accelerator handle, especially in the hand. They might have it on the pole, doing seldom pole work, but most window cleaners won't buy an accelerator handle. So if you've got an accelerator handle, you can have it like very flat or inverted, and you can have that black diamond rubber in then, and every time you come to close out, you won't have any arcs when it comes to closing out. Yeah, so if you don't want to invest in a very expensive handle, then you can modify your handles just by bending them in a vise, and that will stop lines, because it's just the same scenario as having too short rubber. If the angle's too much, every time you turn, it's a bit sharp, it's a bit grippy, and closing out will always be a line there. Another problem with certain windows is they're quite sticky. They might have a film on it, or they might have plastic on it, or something that's making that rubber again move out of place, and you're having issues. So if the window you're working on is very sticky, and after a while of doing this, it's come out of place, all I've got to do is lift it up and start again, and maybe lift it up again, and for that rubber to retract. So I know that no one's talked about this on videos before, so that is hopefully a few of those scenarios with angles too much in standard handles, depending on what rubber you're using, types of windows and frames you're working against, and sticky windows. That is all a cause of arcs, which is not really related to damage or debris on the rubber. So sometimes it gets frustrating. I don't want to fall out with my tool, and because I know everything that I need to know to get this tool to work, and most people don't know that, and that's why I make these videos, to try and help people not suffer problems with the way they work, lines, techniques, that sort of thing. And last but not least, someone moaned and said, am I the squeegee police? No, but I'm thinking about getting into the squeegee police, because there's so many window cleaners that really need help with their traditional skills and tools to select and use properly. Maybe I should get into the squeegee police and do some real enforcements on people to become better performing, more productive, better earning, more skillful, and most importantly, get better results in much least time as possible. Yeah, maybe the squeegee police is something I need to involve myself into. So thanks for watching.